I start to walk back to my dorm, but the simple act of walking seems to drain me of energy. Of my energy. Dear God. And that was quick. I barely make it to my room before I am hit by a wave of exhaustion. Light off. I kick off my shoes, fall into bed, and fall asleep. By the time my head hits the pillow... Fall asleep by the time my head hits the pillow, dear God. Every time it's a black screen, I keep thinking my game's froze. And then I just see a heart spin round. Katawa Shoujo. Dear God, if we see Kenji, I'm gonna go crazy. I pull my door closed, ready for another day of classes. Sleep well, you bastard. Kenji's sudden arrival makes me jump, and I narrowly avoid butting heads with him. I know he has poor eyesight, but he knows who I am. Does he still have to stand this close? Oh yeah, like a baby. Damn, why do people say that? Have you ever heard a baby sleep? Yes, they scream all the time. What's your point? They scream all night, every night. Besides, babies don't sleep well, ever. Well, there goes my restful state. I have to remember to never use figures of speech with Kenji. Alright, I get your point. It was a figure of speech. Yeah, sure, whatever. Where were you last night? I had a favour to ask you, but you weren't around. For a split second, I considered telling Kenji the truth, that I was spending time with Hanako and Lily. Oh god, that would end in disaster. Thankfully, that split second passes as soon as it came. I was just out, checking out the local area and stuff. You know, recon. Good man, good. I knew you would type to plan ahead. Anyway, what was this favour you wanted? I was going to get some takeout, but I need to change. Wait, what? I gave you money last week, and you still haven't paid me back. I was just starting to think you were cool. Kenji fishes around in his pocket and produces his wallet. As he counts about the 400 yen he owes me, I can clearly see at least two 10,000 yen notes. Mother of God! Hey, what the hell? Why are you borrowing money off me when you've got that much cash? Kenji hisses a little, realizing that he's been had. Get off my case, man. It's bad luck to break a big note of anything less than half its value. It's the tycoon rule. Last night's dinner is going to cost me 7 years of bad luck. 7 years! Don't you think that's enough to help someone out? I'd get the shortest sentence if I just stole the stuff. I don't think so. My common sense screams at me to say something to him, but thankfully I restrain myself. Arguing at a point like this with Kenji will just lead to further and more complicated discussions. Yeah, I guess you're right. Maybe you should plan these things a little better. Yeah, man, I know, but I've just got so much stuff to do. It's hard, and you're never around anymore, so I'm on my own. We're supposed to be brothers in the Brotherhood, remember? Yeah, I get it. Global conspiracy and such. I'll keep my ear to the ground. Kenji draws close enough for me to get a clear whiff of his garlic-tainted breath. You better, man. You're already spending less time here. That's the first thing they do. They'll try to split us up, divide and conquer. What in good heavens? Sun Tzu said that. Roger that. Now I've got to be going. I've got classes. You coming? Nah, I'm tired. I stayed up all night just to make sure nothing was going to happen after splitting that note. Ah, as rational as ever, I see. Whatever. Night. Kenji scurries back into his room, and I hear him throwing his locks as I walk down the hallway. That is why some people can't roll their tongue, or why their second toe is longer than their big toe. What? Muto beams a half-moon smile at us, obviously proud of his explanation of recessive genes. However, no matter how impressed he is at the science that defines who we are, the classroom seems to be reduced to a stupor. Why is it that a bad explanation can make even the most interesting thing seem worthless? Because I'm reading it. I can see Muto deflate as he realizes that nothing he said in the past half hour has sunk in. Whispered conversations start to break the silence, and like an avalanche, the noise level in the class starts to rise. Defeated, Muto identifies some questions from the textbook and sets to clearing off the blackboard. Almost as I expected, Hanako packs up her things and leaves as soon as possible. Start talking and laughing among themselves. What did I just read? Hanako packs up things and leaves as soon as people start talking and laughing among themselves. There we are. The initial shock of seeing someone play so blatantly traunt has started to fade, but it doesn't stop me from wondering. Is she leaving because she doesn't want people to speak to her? Or is it just the thought of people around her shattering her peace? Before I can think about the topic any further, the lunch bell rings. I wonder if she was simply taking the opportunity to leave early. The usual clamour of students exchanging books for lunch rates, I don't know, around the room, and while Misha is distracted, I grab my lunch and head out the door. Lily already sits in the tea room, setting out her lunch alone. So Hanako's not here then? Oh, Hisao, how are you? I haven't met Hanako since this morning, I'm afraid. That's right, Hanako and Lily live next to each other. What? Oh yeah, I haven't seen someone since this morning, so that is right. I read it right. Somehow, I think their morning conversations are slightly more grounded than Kenji's rambling. That's strange. She left class early, so I figured she'd come here. So she's still leaving class early? Huh? Yeah, I've seen her do it a few times. Lily drops her head a little and her tone of voice is notably depressed. It's very reminiscent of someone who is used to hearing bad news. I was so sure that she stopped doing that once you two became friends. Everyone has their own pace, I suppose. Well, I was wondering about just that today. Why exactly does she leave? I'm not entirely sure myself. I personally think it's because she doesn't want to be put in a situation where she has to answer someone. I have a flashback of my first meeting with her, when I thought she looked like a cornered animal. Maybe I wasn't far from the truth. But she seems fine with talking to you and with me, a bit. It's a little more complex than that. I imagine that the first thing most people ask her about is her scars and what happened. She rarely talks about it with me, but I can tell that she doesn't like to remember whatever happened back then. Leaving class and running away from discussions is her preemptive strike, if you will. So then, how does that explain her talking to me? You said it yourself yesterday at breakfast. You tried to ignore her scars. When she saw that you weren't going to ask about that, she opened herself up to you. I guess you're right. Maybe. I don't know. You know her better than I, so I'll take your word for it. I wouldn't worry about that. I'm sure you'll come to know her as well as I do soon enough. I welcome the prospect of her having a new friend, and the two of you have such similar interests. While I hardly count reading as a team sport, it is good to have company, though. That's my point. Hanako is still an average person at heart. She also wants company at times like that. I see. I think, to be honest, both of you still confuse me a little. That's only natural, Hisao. We've only known each other for a little while. It's unreasonable to expect you to understand us just as we can't. It's unreasonable to expect you to understand us, just as we can't understand you. But that is half the fun of becoming friends, right? No, it's not. They think at the back of your mind why they want to avoid you before speaking to you. Yes, it is. Sarcastic tone. Although I suppose there is the matter of us being opposite genders. Men and women do seem to confuse each other quite often. She says that this with a light giggle, finding amusement to the odd little details of life. I hope you don't mind, but I'm going to start eating. No, go ahead. I'll eat something too. I've got some books I want to drop back at the library before class starts, so I'd better get a move on. You'll probably find Hanako there as well. If you do see her, can you tell her to stop by my room later tonight? I'd like to talk to her. You're not coming? Unfortunately, I have a class representative meeting later, so I'll be gone as soon as I finish my lunch. Okay then. If I don't see her in the library, then I'll tell her in class. I'm sure she'll be back after lunch. We fall silent as we start to eat, and I take a second to reflect on our conversation. I've always thought that Hanako's shyness was simply due to her being self-conscious of her scars. But that is pretty superficial. That is a pretty superficial way of looking at it. Dear God. Just when I thought I was able to see through the fog of Lily and Hanako, I realized that I'm more lost than when I started. Shut up, Chair. Lily quickly finishes her lunch, acutely aware of her meeting. I don't blame her. Shizune is most likely going to be there, and I doubt she wants to give her the satisfaction of another argument. I must be off. Same time tomorrow? Same time, same channel. I'd better head off too. I don't want to risk being late. Lily smiles gently, picks up her cane, and walks out to the hall. Into the hall. Ugly pictures, brother. I turn my back on Lily as we head in the opposite directions. For some reason, I find myself hoping she doesn't get into another fight with Shizune. That was the cheer. Then it's not going to make the same sound again, you stupid twat. As much as I like Lily, Shizune and Misha have been pretty instrumental in helping me adjust, even if half of our conversations have thinly veiled recruitment attempts. I have no idea who's speaking when it comes to those two half the time. Then again, I barely know either of them. Maybe they were previously leaders of some kind of secret society, but their love for each other drove them apart. Man, I need to stop reading cheap fiction. It's rotting my brain. Either that or I've got to move away from Kenji and his bad influence. I like that idea. It's sad that I can't tell the two apart anymore. I slide my books down the return chute and they crash into the cart with a pleasant thud. Boom! Bye. Minecraft still has me on edge. Yuko, however, doesn't seem as impressed as I. Hisao, you scared me. Dear God. Sorry, I thought you would be used to that by now. Or is the literacy level here so low that nobody borrows any books? Huh? No, I think everyone here can read fine. Yeah, never mind. There are some battles that you can never win. Trying to explain jokes is one of them. My dad taught me that the hard way. Say, Yuko, have you seen Hanako about... She left class early, but she wasn't in her usual hiding place. I think I saw her sneak in before lunch. Oh, but I'm not supposed to tell anyone that. I just told you that I saw her leave. No need to stress out. Oh, of course. She's probably in the back. Thanks. Got any new books in recently? Get any new books in recently? No, sorry. I'll let you know when we do, though. Okay. If there's one thing I know about librarians, part-time or otherwise, it's that they appreciate people that take a genuine interest in their work. I walk the now familiar path to Hanako's reading nook, picking out a few titles along the way. Sometimes I find it hard to discover a book with that will find a book that will interest me among the shelves. An author's name and a 2-word title doesn't mean much in a sea of similar words. For that reason, I sometimes reread books that shut up that I read in the past. Better to be on the favourite than a new runner. An unfamiliar title from a familiar author peeks out among the spines of its neighbours, so I remove it from the shelf. At least I'm not going over old material. As expected, Hanako sits on her beanbag buried deep in a copy of Dance, Dance, Dance. Hi Hanako, how's it going? I fight back the urge to ask why she left class early. If Lily's suspicions were right, then asking her about that could have the opposite effects.